In a world. Hold on.
In a world where all life. Hey, what the heck? Whoa, stop, 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 stop. Okay, okay.
UC Santa Cruz, where in May 2020, mountain bikers finally officially outnumber students. Situated on the southwestern flanks of Ben Lomond Mountain, surrounded by protected lands on nearly all sides, our campus is simply amazing. So amazing that it has its own nature reserve. Sorry about that. The Campus Natural Reserve, or CNR, provides a place for students, faculty, and townies to explore and study nature in nature. UCSC students participate in field trips and internships, learning from the original experts, the organisms themselves, in situ. We want everyone to connect and to bring the lenses of their respective disciplines along. Courses in art, environmental studies, history, biology, anthropology, writing, education, ecology, and evolutionary biology, and more visit the reserve each year. Have you been there? What do you remember the most? What draws you in? The reserve is currently a long-range development plan land use designation and is not permanently protected. With the eventual establishment of the upcoming 2020 to 2040 LRDP, the CNR is poised to double in size and include the coastal prairies of Mima Meadow and Marshall Fields and the campus's most mature redwood forest. The reserve encompasses many different habitat types, including coastal prairie, redwood forest, mixed evergreen forest, and transitional forests, with each color on this map representing a different vegetation community. Consider this video a socially distant tour of the CNR and surrounding natural lands as we travel to a few of these distinct zones and explore some of their distinctive plants and animals. Grassland is likely the most obvious habitat visible on this aerial photo. The campus's grasslands follow the general north-south trending pattern seen regionally on these lower coastal terraces. The areas in tan were mapped as annual grassland, dominated by invasive European annual grasses. The East Meadow, Hagar Meadow, Inclusion Area D above the Barn Theater, the Great Meadow, the West Meadow, Porter Meadow, and part of Inclusion Area A, or Mima Meadow. Coastal Prairie is mapped in green and includes a chunk of Mima Meadow, Crown Meadow, and the Marshall Fields complex. The big difference here relates to the percentage of native bunch grasses and the presence of particular native forbs, or wildflowers. It's all coastal prairie, really, an extremely rare habitat type nationwide with differing amounts of diversity and invasion. Though it's not part of the reserve yet, it's slated to be, and I just so happen to have to be there a lot lately for some surveys, so let's focus mostly on the Mima Meadow. You can see the pimply Mima mounds in the aerial photo here. Nearly 40 hypotheses later, scientists haven't definitively figured out how they are formed. With winter rains, the low-lying areas between the mounds become seasonal wetlands, and in springtime, life springs forth. Let's take a little walk through the Mima mounds and the meadow. Cows graze here and a few other South Campus grasslands seasonally, keeping trails open through the California poppies. Let's check out the two most common native bunch grasses here. One of the most common native bunch grasses out here in the coastal prairie is Danthonia californica, or California oakgrass. And I'll show you one of the easiest ways to recognize this. If I can get in here towards the base of the plant, you can see this fringe of hairs clasping around where the leaf blade meets the stem of the plant. That's a really characteristic, easy way to recognize this when it's not in flower. Stipa pulchra, or purple needlegrass, is abundant in patches in many campus meadows. The flowers have distinctly long awns and a purplish hue on the florets. Some people swoon over grasses, but not as many as who swoon over flowers. Though species composition and abundance can vary through the years and during each individual season, it's often an epic show. Here are a few species you can find in the winter and spring months in the campus's coastal prairie. Let's look in close on this sun cup. As a member of the evening primrose family, it has 4 petals, a globe-shaped pistil, and 8 stamen. It also has 4 reflexed sepals and red midribs on the leaves. Out here, pollinators are happy. A few old coast live oaks hang on close to meadow edges. Colombian black-tailed deer work new spring growth through their four-chambered tummies. The rut has been over for several months, and bucks gather in bachelor groups. I guess it's just hanging out and eating snacks for now. Coyotes seem to be everywhere this spring, running down Mission Street and in all South Campus grasslands. I watched this one attempt to hunt for about 20 minutes with no success, not even a pounce. This one didn't seem too concerned with our nearly socially distant friends. Coyotes have long-term relationships, up to 12 years, and will usually move their pups from den to den 2 or 3 times in the first month after their pups are born. Don't even get me started on these introduced butterballs. This displaying male is trying pretty hard, but as David Lucas says in his excellent Bay Area Birds book, the females tend to look disinterested and even bored by this whole routine. The females will mate, though, and lay up to 13 eggs in a shallow scrape of a nest in dense shrubs. I happen along these little scarab beetles in the midst of some action. What do you think's going on here? And then I almost stepped on this gopher snake. These snakes can get up to 9 feet long. This gopher hole must have been plugged. Good for the gopher, who otherwise might have gotten constricted and swallowed, or pinned against the wall of its burrow and suffocated. And then swallowed. Back to the Hoplia. Any guesses now? I think the males emerged first, were battling, and then the female emerged, and I guess this is scarab beetle biology. Speaking of beetles, the paths in Mima Meadow and Marshall Fields are home to an endangered one, the Ohlone tiger beetle. This predatory species lives in only a handful of places in the entire world, and they are all in Santa Cruz County. They rely on bare ground for hunting, basking, mating, and laying eggs. Adults are active from late January to mid-May. Larvae develop through 3 instar growth stages, hunting from successively larger burrows that they keep perfectly round and meticulously swept. Though they can be run over by bikes, bikes can actually help keep vegetation from taking over trails, which benefits the beetle. Tara Cornelise, a graduated UCSC PhD student, found that slowing to 5 miles per hour allows the beetles to safely escape with the least amount of energy wasted. What are these? A little dude. Ooh. See if there's one in this one too. What do you notice about redwood forest distribution as shown on this map? Do you see the north-south strips in the campus core and how it runs along the northeastern boundary, where the land begins to drop steeply down to the winding San Lorenzo River and its forested valley? Redwoods are found along the campus's ravines and drainages and are among the most obvious indicators of the impacts colonialism had on the forest. Let's go for a walk into Upper Campus, back behind engineering. It's pretty quiet out here these days. As we walk along Spring Road, what do you notice? Do you see trees that are not redwoods? How much sun is reaching the forest floor? How far apart are the redwoods from each other? Let's head up on the Nick Madsen Seepzone Interpretive Trail. Nick was a CNR intern and volunteer who loved this forest, and this trail is named after him as a memorial to his life. This section of redwood forest has a lush ground cover. Notice how the leaves are held parallel to the ground, positioned to take advantage of ambient light and available sunflex as they momentarily touch the forest floor. A few common species are represented here. Stumps are an obvious feature of our second-growth redwood forests. Most were cut during the American period of colonization in tandem with the gold rush, More people, more construction, more extracted natural resources. Most trees on campus fed lime kilns, big furnaces that burned quarried marble during the production of lime, a pre-cement building material that was in high demand during the mid to late 1800s and early 1900s. The ravines redwoods inhabit sometimes have water, sometimes do not. Cave Gulch is one of the few places that has it year-round. Back on the Seep Zone Trail, ferns indicate the seeps and springs that form the headwaters of Jordan Gulch. Feast your eyes on some of the wildflowers that call the redwood forest home. For a place that can look mostly brown and green for most of the year, it can get a little flashy in the winter and spring. Coming out of the dense shade of the redwoods, let's step into the mixed evergreen forest. Here we find a higher diversity of tree species, with a mix of oaks, madrone, occasionally California bay, Douglas fir, and others. Douglas fir is becoming increasingly dominant in this forest in the absence of fire, which normally would have limited distribution of this somewhat thin and flammable bark tree. Zooming into the Seven Springs area of Upper Campus, we find a block of mixed evergreen forest that's home to our campus's largest research facility. The Forest Ecology Research Plot, or FERP, is part of a global network of plots that are tracking forest dynamics over the long term. Hundreds of student interns have found friendship and gotten their first taste of ecological fieldwork on the FERP. Some of them go on to be paid crew leaders and do senior theses or projects. Each of those 40,000 black dots on the map is a woody plant stem that's at least a centimeter in diameter. Each year we go back and remeasure these, thereby tracking growth, mortality, recruitment, and change. Let's go for a walk on the FERP. So here we have some luscious poison oak, super oily looking, nice new growth. So you can see it's got 3 leaflets per leaf. They're kind of rounded lobes along the edges, pretty shiny from the oil, the uric oil, which a lot of people have an allergic reaction to. The plant itself has, I don't know if you can see over there, it's got alternate branching, although that one looks pretty darn almost opposite. Smooth stem, no spines or hairs along it. Sometimes tannish kind of in color. Here's some more right here. It's got a little bit of reddish coloration sometimes, but don't look for that as a diagnostic. Here's a quick look at a few of the species you might find in the mixed evergreen forest. Northern maritime chaparral is defined, at least in part, by growth within the coastal fog belt and the presence of rare manzanita species. It's a sunny, hot place populated by plants that have adapted strategies to survive fire. At this point in time, only a few small patches of this rare habitat type remain on campus. Zooming in, we can see that these patches also contain trees, such as Douglas fir and redwood. These trees represent a transition from the chaparral shrubland to forest, and the potential loss of some of the rare species that call this habitat home. You can also see that there's been some recent disturbance to a couple patches. In February 2018, we worked with CAL FIRE to burn 2 8-acre patches of chaparral in an attempt to regenerate the habitat and delay this conversion to forest. Though our management was only partially successful, the regrowth of chaparral plants is happening vigorously, and low-growing annual plants that hadn't germinated or grown in over 50 years are having their moment in the sun. We have come full circle, my friends. Zooming along Chinkapin Fire Road, we can see one of these burned patches 2 years later. The shrub canopies are starting to develop and spring is happening here too. These are 2 of the 3 manzanita species found in the campus's chaparral. Each has a different strategy for surviving a disturbance like fire. Santa Cruz manzanita resprouts from seed, as it's doing in abundance here, while brittleleaf manzanita resprouts from a basal burl. As we walk through the recovering chaparral, you can see a variety of shrubs slowly filling in the openings between them, where bracken fern got an early foothold. The prescribed fire happened in winter, when it's safer, but it had been a dry winter and the fire burned hot. This allowed for a lot of germination, and burls survived to resprout. It's pretty amazing how quickly the habitat's coming back. Yerba Santa was one of the first plants to germinate, and it came back in force. Next time you're up there, snap a photo at one of our photo stations and email it to us to put into a time-lapse video of chaparral regeneration. So what does mature chaparral look like? All you have to do is look next to the burn site on North Fuel Break Road to find a patch that's at least 40 years old. Within these dense stands, you have to crouch or crawl to get around. It helps to be a wood rat. Here you can see some brittle leaf manzanita, easy to recognize from its basal pearls. This clump looks like it was disturbed and then re-sprouted, as you can tell from all the multiple stems coming up from the burl. Manzanita and other chaparral plants are sun lovers, so without intervention or wildfire, this stand will become forest. There are several communities listed in the 2002 vegetation map that speak to the huge disturbances of the Cal Ranch days, and how change keeps on rolling in the absence of disturbance as well. Most of these areas have one thing in common: evidence of now dead chaparral, now below a forest canopy. Look familiar at all? That mossy mound is the basal burl of a brittle-leaf manzanita, dearly departed. And it makes sense that when you find one, you find more. Chaparral is a dense shrubland, and the skeletons of manzanita show a past event of transition to forest, and also show how the future of our current chaparral will look unless we remove overshadowing trees, or wait patiently for wildfire. As you look around, you can see some scraggly oaks, a cluster of redwoods that may have seeded in after a fire or resprouted from its stump, and lots of Douglas fir. A pretty sketchily dense fuel load accumulates from dead shrubs and knobcone pines, a short-lived fire-dependent species often found in chaparral. When you see a knobcone carcass under the redwoods, you can be pretty sure change has happened recently. These skinny redwoods are actually about 100 years old, and there are no stumps around. They probably germinated from seed after a slash fire got away from Cow Ranch loggers. Chaparral probably came in after these fires, as evidenced by nearby manzanita skeletons. And then there are the big Doug firs. These Doug firs are dramatically larger in diameter than the surrounding redwoods and are scattered through these transitional zones. Looking up, you can see their large lower branches, betraying their origins in open sunny habitats. These trees likely started in chaparral, and then eventually caused that chaparral's shady demise. Alright folks, we did it. It's a pale comparison to the real thing, but I hope you enjoyed your tour.
Oh no, here we go again.
My brother's like, what are you doing with me, you big giants? With your big robotic machine? Like, oh.